self-doubt, which I feel I can really relate to on a personal level. For me personally, self-doubt has or was always a very familiar friend on the journey. Yeah, and I feel like I've learnt so many lessons with and from and out of this self-doubt, and I continue to. It is, in fact, such a gift. So there's a hidden intelligence in self-doubt, which is surprising, I feel. Usually we consider self-doubt to be a problem, right? And it can be, of course, when we really believe in it, and those thoughts of self-doubt that doubt everything we do, everything we say, everything we feel, every action, every path we take. It can be very limiting, and it can keep us really small. It can be actually really debilitating. We might even be paralyzed by it. And it can be very painful. And it can be based on an old wound, some old trauma, past experience. It's usually just some kind of old conditioning. We may not even understand where it comes from in our past, but it can become a habit, a way that we relate to ourselves. It can become, or it is, in fact, a story of me, my identity as someone who is not good enough or doubtful, a small me. And it can be a way of staying safe, a protection. Of course, anytime you might get the feeling to move into a more challenging path, a more exposing path, where you might expand or become a bit bigger, that self-doubt might come in and say, no, no, I better stay small. It's much safer. And so it has an intelligence in that way, that it is a protection. But of course, also it keeps us small when maybe we long to step out and show ourselves and express ourselves freely. Yeah. And yes, it is this story of me. And if we start to question, who is this me? We can see that really there isn't a separate me inside here, living in this body in time. And yet, these kind of almost fundamental identities or stories of me, that they seem to refer to a me as if there is a me in here, even when you recognize that there isn't. That story of self-doubt can go on. And I like to turn it around and actually see it as a beautiful thing, because it has many beautiful qualities, especially when we can see it for what it is. We can see that it is never actually referring to a separate me, this self-doubt actually keeps us humble, right? So it may keep us too small, but at the same time, it can keep us in acknowledging that we don't know really. So anytime the mind might want to land in, I think I know, or I'm sure or certain about some position or opinion or pathway, this self-doubt will question. It will look at it again. It will reflect. Are you sure? What do I really know? Is this really who I am? Am I really that one that is so certain and sure? So it keeps us humble. It keeps us acknowledging the truth that we really don't know, which is the ultimate truth, right? That we really don't know. And it keeps us also in a bigger sense of trust. That when we don't know or we don't believe in those thoughts that say, I know, and we acknowledge that we don't know, there is this bigger sense of trust that the mind doesn't understand. So the mind can be self-doubting, but at the same time, there can be this sense of a bigger trust that holds even that self-doubt or any other thoughts, stories, or feelings. It keeps us curious and open, questioning it all. It also means that we have a less rigid sense of identity in another way. Like if we're even questioning, who am I? Right? So when we can see that this small me even is not who I am, we can see that this story of self-doubt is not really who I am, we then can start to question, well, then who am I really? Which again is this openness, spaciousness, fluidity. It is also because it is a protection mechanism that protects us against feeling rejected, getting it wrong, being hurt. When we start to see this for what it is, we can feel into what is underneath that. Our fears, our longings, our wounds, our pain, our heartbreak, grief. So it invites us to come to our tender heart. So I really feel that there are so many gifts actually in this self-doubt. It also invites us to slow down and pause and not jump into something. And sometimes just reflecting and questioning and taking a moment to really listen and feel into, is this right? This means that we don't rush into something impulsively, sometimes based on an idea of who we think we are. So this self-doubt really invites us to question everything. So it's really about feeling into what is true in this self-doubt. That the story of me, of this small me, this is not who you really are. That in fact, you are that is aware of any small me or big me or anything. And in seeing that, when that self-doubt story comes up, see it as an invitation to feel into that vulnerability, to be open to that bigger trust, to not knowing, and yet still we live in not knowing. So really this is the beauty and the hidden intelligence of self-doubt. Yeah.